I left the hall light on in case you come back home. I sent a text that I was wrong. Oh, won't you come back home? Why won't you come back home? I've been sleeping with the light on dim. The dark feels heavier without you in. And every chord I strike cries your name.
Well, g'day all. We're just turning onto Jarrahdale Road. This is a special episode of More Beer Than Barra. So today we are going to say farewell to the family block up here in Jarrahdale. Back in the mid to late 70s, my mum and dad bought a 13.5 acre block for about $16,000 or $17,000 back in those days, which is incredible when you think about what property's worth now. But yeah, back in the 70s they lived on a caravan while they built the house, and then the house was finished and we all grew up. Me and my brothers grew up there with our mum and dad, and lots of memories. It was our family home for our entire childhood, and my mum and dad have lived there for 50 years now, thereabouts. So it's quite an emotional sort of time, really. So we thought I'd make this video of the Jarrahdale block and a bit about Jarrahdale, just so we've got some memories of the place, and I'll give you a bit of a commentary as we look around. Lots of cool things that are cool for as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I guess some of you will probably be switching off by now, but so today's Mother's Day, which means there's going to be a lot of people who've made the journey up to Jarrahdale to have a coffee at the cafe or to have a meal at the Jarrahdale Tavern. It's a very popular day trip and a Sunday drive for our people in Perth. Jarrahdale's 50 kilometres from the Perth CBD, pretty much exactly, and it's approximately a 15-minute drive from Armadale in the southeast, so it's sort of part of that Armadale Hills region. The block itself is on the Serpentine National Park, so it's on the border, I guess what you'd call the northern border of the Serpentine National Park, and you can actually walk from the back of the block all the way to Kitty's Gorge and then onto Serpentine Falls. If you love your hiking, there's lots of really cool hiking trails. Back in the 80s and 90s, there used to be a campground there at the creek, Gurlong Park campground, and it's on the Gurlong River. Now, unfortunately, for one reason or another, I'm not going to get into a debate about why, the Gurlong River has mostly dried up now, and it's just a series of pools. But back in the day, it was an awesome marroning creek, and my brothers and I would go down there and catch marron, catch a good feed of marron regularly when there was heaps of water in it. So again, more happy memories. They closed that park back in the noughties, pretty much because there was too much antisocial behaviour, and I would put that down to its proximity to Perth. Very easy for for bogans to get out there and run amok with a carton of beer or whatever. So, and hoons and all that sort of stuff. So we lost that campground, but it used to be an awesome place to camp and go marroning, even flick a lure for trout when there was heaps of water in the creek. So my parents' block is about 4 or 5 k's up the Jarrahdale Road from the Southwest Highway. You can see we're climbing into Darling Range now, and you will see coming up on the right there's a big real estate property with a sold sign on it. There it is on the right, and that's the property. We'll go and have a look around Jarrahdale now. This is the western entrance, and I can point out some things to you. So Parolo's historic garage there, used to be a local mechanic. There's Nettleton Road on the left that heads straight to Blyford and then on to Armadal. It's really quite an attractive town in the Perth region of the Darling Range. Some wonderful properties. So they're reconstructing the bridge over the Gurulong River here, which is why it's so busy. Kind of cool actually. Oh, just made that what? So you can see, yeah, the bridge is in construction. They've made this temporary causeway. You won't get a good view of it here, but that is the Gurulong River that we're crossing over. It's completely dry at the moment, which is a bit of a concern. No winter rain and it's autumn, so anyway, we come into town. On the right here is the Jarrahdale Tavern, and that's the historic post office on the left from the earlier days. But yeah, on the right you've got the Jarrahdale Tavern. Very busy today. In fact, I will pull over and take a bit of footage. And here is the Jarrahdale Tavern. So, awesome pub actually, and very, very popular these days. Just wait for these cars to go past. Yeah, so a very popular pub, especially on a Mother's Day. It's starting to build up now, and I think by this afternoon it'll be standing room only there, to be honest. But very popular spot, particularly on Mother's Day. And I think if I can show you that little balcony there, that's where I proposed to my wife back in 2015. So it's always going to be a special place for me, but that's the Jarrahdale Tavern. Lots of memories here. Not all of them can I tell you either. To the left is the old hospital, where that side road is. Another very popular spot with tourists from Perth, or day trippers from Perth. They do a great burger there, the Jarrahdale burger. Recommended. And getting into the more urban part of Jarrahdale now, so, or as urban as it gets. On the left here was the first house that I rented with a mate back in the day, which was really cool because it was right next to the cricket net. So, and lots of people in the park, again, celebrating their Mother's Day and having a barbecue. Jarrahdale Primary School, this is where myself and my brothers attended primary school, and for me, I attended all my primary school years here. So the building you see ahead there is the town hall. Not particularly interesting looking building either. But we're just going around the edge of the primary school now. If we move down this street, we're now heading towards the Chestnuts Estate, but also the Jarrahdale Cemetery, and I'm going to take a bit of footage there because the Jarrahdale Cemetery is quite special and quite historic. Yeah, if you get the chance to visit Jarrahdale, I recommend popping in to the cemetery. As you saw, it's established in the 1880s when this town was a thriving logging and timber town, exporting timber to the rest of the world. Jarrah wood. And yeah, there are some very historic graves here. Many of the earliest are unmarked. but we still found today some from the 1890s to the 1900s. And some of the earlier people would have passed away in logging accidents or accidents in the timber industry or the mill. We also know obviously some people who are resting here who had, who were part of our lives when growing up. A very special place. Just being careful to be respectful here, but the Jarrahdale Cemetery is historic. A lot of these graves, particularly at this side of the cemetery, have been here for a hell of a long time, and I'll see what sort of oldest ones we can find for you. So the graves here are in the late 1800s. That one there is 1887. Up at that end is the more modern, the more recent, I should say, the more recent burials. But this end is the historical end. The old Chestnuts Estate. Now this is very new. This only really kicked off in the last 20-30 years, so it's not so much historical. But you are coming now towards the Serpentine River, which there's Serpentine, the Millbrook Winery, which you may have heard about, is down that way. We're not going to go to there today, but it's, again, very popular and they do lovely meals. And this is just to show you, here's the old campground. Now you can go in here and you can walk in there, so you're able to hike and do the Kiddies Gorge track, but you can no longer drive in there or camp down there by the Gurlong River, which is a shame because there used to be some terrific camping and marining and fishing when I was a kid anyway, back in the 80s. But all over Red Rover. Driving into the older part of town now. So a lot of these houses are very, very old in terms of Western Australian time anyway, and they're old timber milling houses. So you can go up to Serpentine Dam if you take a right here. I just want to drive past the old mill. So for many years, this is where most people in Jarrahdale would have worked, the old mill grounds. Now, there's not much left of it now, but this was the primary source of employment for most people until about 1990 odd, just after mid-90s it closed for good. And now, instead of a mill, it is an RV park, as you can see. And it does very well, so it's very popular. Yeah, free camping here for recreational vehicles. So the old mill got used for a good purpose. So this is the Gurlong River again, and this is Turtle Creek Crossing, as it's known, because there was always a lot of turtles in this pool. Again, it's a bit dry, not much to see at the moment. This is Jarrahdale Oval. They have the log chop here every year. You can see the platform ahead where they have the it's Western Australia's premier log chopping competition. Very popular. And I played cricket on this oval many times. Never made any runs. I've taken a couple of wickets. That's the old cricket pavilion there. And if you follow this road, you'd get back to Armadale and Byford. So it comes out of Byford and then you can head back to Armadale, and it's a more sort of scenic drive through the Darling Range, and there are some orchards on the way. And if you can make out that sign, just coming up on the left here is Langford Park. So Langford Park is a very popular picnic spot with a lot of cycling trails that go into the Jarrahdale State Forest. And you can see the sort of forest. Now, Langford Park was a rehabilitated aluminium mine. There was the other industry that happened in Jarrahdale. Here's the Langford Park sign. A lot of people were employed from about 1950 odd to about 1990 odd, working for the Jarrahdale Alcoa aluminium mine. And it's controversial because they do clear a lot of Jarrah Forest, which they've had varying degrees of success in rehabilitating, and I'll leave that one for now. Unofficially, this is the old railway line that they used to bring in. The bauxite. Sorry, they would export. They would use to take the bauxite back to Kwinana, where it would go to the Kwinana refinery. Now, you're probably not supposed to, but a lot of people use the old railway line access road as a bit of a four-wheel driving challenge, and I think I'll probably get away with doing a short section of it. Again, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but we're just going to do a quick couple of 100 metres, so you can sort of see what the sort of terrain is around Jarrahdale. And you can see on the left is what's left of the old railway line. It's a shame they haven't changed it into, you kept the line maintained, and maybe look at bringing passenger trains up here for the log chop, or special steam train events and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's gone. But the access roads are pretty cool. I think I was saying before, places like Langford Park and this sort of place have been rehabilitated after aluminium mining, or bauxite mining, I should say. So, and you can still see there's a lot of red gum and Jarrah still here. I was talking about cycling tracks before, so you can see some of the cyclists along here. Careful not to side swap the it's a pretty cool track. I think you could safely do this part of the section, and it's only a short section and not particularly challenging. Particularly for the old 76. There's a decent rut. I'll have to straddle that one. So I guess if it's wet and muddy, it could be challenging. But yeah, nothing to see today. Well, as in no challenges today. Just a few rocks to hop. This is going to take us out on Jarrahdale Road, very close to where my my parents have their block. So that would be handy. As I said, my parents' block is on the northern boundary of the Serpentine National Park, and that's where we are going to come out very shortly. This is Buckland's Road that heads up to some properties up in the hills, which are all nice properties. We're going to cross the old railway line again, and here's Jarrahdale Road, and you will see across Jarrahdale Road there is the Serpentine National Park entry, and again for hiking only. This is the fire trail that services as a fire exit, an alternative fire exit for a lot of properties around the Serpentine National Park, including my mum and dad's. So this fire trail here actually is the exit, the fire exit. Now it'll say no car or vehicle access, but we are actually allowed to use it as a fire access for my parents' place. There's a clearing here, but we're back in the 90s and the noughties. Right here, we used to do a lot of camping right here, just on the edge of my parents' property. Just as a little cheeky camp spot for a campfire. And here is the fire exit to my parents' block. So it's a little bit rocky, but if the main exit wasn't available due to fire, mum and dad could have used this spot here as an exit spot. So back at my mum and dad's property now, and we're going to go in and have a look at the property. The old sold sign makes it seem real. This structure here that you're looking at here is a fire shelter that Dad has built directly ahead. So this is designed that if they got caught on the property, hopefully you can see that over the camera. I'll get some better footage later, but there's a fire shelter there, which is basically a concrete tube with sealed ends that protects you from the radiant heat. You can also see that flat patch of land there where the shed is. That's where my grandparents lived for a long time. They had a little kit home that they'd set up there, or a transportable home, and then obviously when they moved away and passed on, the transportable home was moved away and sold. So many happy memories of visiting my grandparents right there. And this bit coming up is super cool, and you'll see why. One of the cool things about my parents' block is they actually have a four-wheel drive jump-up track. Not by design, but just by accident. This is where they used to have an exit from the property. It was a very steep exit, and then over the years, obviously, erosion has caused some fairly big ruts. And I'll show you the terrain here. This is what you're driving over, you know, big ruts and rocks. So this is proper, the camera never does it justice, but this is proper diff-like low range stuff. And I'm gonna take a bit of footage for you, and I'm gonna do this track one last time and hopefully not stuff my car up on it. But yeah, it was a great place to learn four-wheel driving actually when I was a bit younger, and you can see the gradient there looking back towards the car. There's my mum's house up there and my mum and dad's house, but let's give this a crack, a red hot crack. Righto, I've got my camera filming, it's propped up to film me climbing it. Just got to scratch the top of the car a little bit here. also going to get this footage on the GoPro. So here we come to the start of it. Cameras never do climbs justice, but this is incredibly rutted and steep. I am going to put on both lockers to try and get up this bugger. So here we go, front and rear lockers. Now here comes the first challenge, some moving boulders. Bit of throttle control, not too bad. I'll tell you what, it's making pretty light work of it. That front locker hasn't even engaged yet, so it's the rear locker's doing all the work. Here's their place in the middle of the block, in the middle of 13.5 acres. So Serpentine National Park, up that way, up the hill. There's the track we've just done, and that's looking back towards the valley and Jarrahdale Road. Not a bad view at all. Some of the residents of Mum and Dad's block, and of course the Serpentine National Park. So these are eastern grey kangaroos, different to the ones up north, which are the western reds. There are also some emus coming up in the background, so I'll see if I can film them. Now, I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a couple of emus. I think they've seen me and they've decided they're going to back off, but they often come down to see if there's any food or water. See how close they let me get. Probably not that close, but we'll give it a crack. Old man emu, as they're referred to, and you can see why they're like old men. Off they go. Not keen to hang around to speak to me, but beautiful creatures, big as well. Big tall things, they intimidate a lot of the roos actually. Off they go into the Serpentine National Park. Hey guys, how are you going? I'm just going to show these guys the fire bunker. So this is the fire bunker that my dad's built. It's basically a piece of concrete pipeline with probably a radius of about 1/2 metre, so quite big. And the concrete is enough with one end blocked off to protect you from radiant heat, and inside there's a hatch, inside there's a radio, a torch, and about some blankets and some water. So worst case scenario, when they couldn't evacuate, Mum and Dad could have hopped into the shelter and literally wait for the firestorm to pass and then emerge once it has passed. So they've luckily never had to use it, but the new owners may have to one day. Here's Mum's beloved veggie garden, which has a few tomatoes left and a few plants left, but she obviously hasn't been maintaining it so much because they were selling. And this was the old chicken coop, but no chickens at the moment. I'm just going to walk down the veranda, which overlooks the valley. Nice pot plants. You can see a couple of kangaroos hopping past there. And it's an awesome place to sit on a summer evening and just have a look out over the bushland. A couple of fish ponds as well, which are currently out of use but may appeal to the new owners. Just up the hill from the house is the fire pit, where lots of barbecues and sort of shindigs have been held over the years. But this is also a significant spot because this is where Mum and Dad were married, in this spot. What year was it, Mum? 1977. So this is the exact spot where my mum and dad were married. Pretty beautiful backdrop as well. Yeah, and we sort of had a bit of a shindig here to celebrate our wedding as well, several decades later in, I think, 2016. So have a look at this. This was probably the tallest tree on the block, as long as we've lived here. And then a few weeks back, Dad heard an enormous crashing noise, and it was this tree giving up the ghost. And you can see how big that is. You know, the scale of it. At least 20 to 30 metres. Can you imagine what it would have been like when this thing came down? Wow. Bits of debris. We're just walking along the back fence of the property, and this is the fence that's adjacent to the Serpentine National Park and that fire trail that I was driving along earlier on. And yeah, there's the trail there, you can see there, and that just gives all the properties on the edge of the national park a fire exit, so this fence can be taken down quickly and they can exit via the fire trail as an alternative exit if needed. The Mum was just telling me this property was originally part of a dairy farm, and this is an old seed drill, which must be, are we looking at 70, 80, longer than that, years old?
Oh, much older. This should be over 100 years old.
Over 100. Perth, WA, it doesn't have the year on it, but yeah, some pretty old machinery there. 100 years, Mum reckons. And some snotty gobble trees. Plenty of grass trees, and they're all doing pretty well, looking pretty healthy. Well, here's a cool little memory. Back in the 80s, our neighbours used to sell farm fresh milk, and because we lived next door, we just had two stumps that we used to hop over the fence, and we'd go and leave a $1 coin next to their fridge and take a couple of litres of milk. So I would have been about 7 or 8 when we used to do that, and then carry the milk back up to the house, which is up that way. This old hollowed out tree stump used to be one of the many cubby houses we made. It was a bit deeper and bigger back in the day, so heaps of room for a couple of kids in there to hide under the rain. And I also remember grabbing some of the old farm machinery from back over there and putting it here on top of the roof for some reason. I can't remember why I did it, but it's still there. Nothing's moved it. Looking back at the veranda, this was what I'm filming from where we were looking out across earlier on. So, lovely place to spend a summer evening. The marri trees are often referred to as red gum, and you can see there's a real obvious reason for why. The tree sap is red, like blood red, so hence the term red gum. Here are the 2 bedrooms that Dad added to the end of the house. This is my dad, and Dad built both of these rooms by hand, so he did the whole thing himself.
Yep.
Dug out the base and did all the bricklaying himself.
Did indeed. Got some assistance with the roofing,
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Dad, a few quick words on how you bought the property back in, was it 77,
well,
76?
I used to come to Jarrahdale after the soccer. We were pretty thirsty on a Sunday, and
Dad was a pretty keen soccer player, so,
yeah,
and very good at it as well.
some say. Anyway, oh no, the pubs are closed, Carl, on Sundays. What? Hang on a minute, Carl. There's a place called Jarrahdale. It's about 30 kilometres out of Gosnells there. They have a 2-hour session, so that's how I came to know something about Jarrahdale, and we've been very happy here ever since.
You bought the property in
77.
77 for about 18.
It's about 48 years. Oh, I think it was about 14 or 15,000.
Wow.
Yes, oh yeah.
Can you imagine buying a 13-acre block for $13,000,
Yeah.
which would have seemed like a lot of money back then?
Oh, enough, yes. But we've been very happy here, and we're sad, in a way, to be leaving in literally 2 or 3 days' time.
Yeah. But let's just have a quick look at Dad's work here, because like I said, not many people can say that they've built
2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms, and you know, this is,
All the brickwork was mine.
yeah. You went to Armadal TAFE, didn't you, and just learnt how to do
I
bricklaying?
did actually, yes,
Yeah.
and that gave me a basis for it. And,
This pergola's all yours as well, wasn't it?
sorry?
The pergola you did as well, didn't you?
Yes. And looks as if it needs a paint job, doesn't it? But,
He's a talented man, my dad.
I wish I was.
Well, you built 2 bedrooms. Like I said, that's proper bloke stuff, isn't it? Anyways,
Yep. It prevented you lads from having to sleep in a wardrobe.
yeah,
Remember that? That was a bit harsh. But,
fantastic.
yep, there it was. That became your lovely bedroom. So, and there's the second. Yep.
Go at me trying to sneak up on old man Amy. He knows I'm trying to film him, sneaky bugger. There he goes. And these guys are all wondering what I'm filming. Or what I'm doing, I should say. Come back. One, two. I can't really show you how big and tall they are. They're massive. You just have to trust me. Pretty majestic, really. And they blend into the forest so well, don't you think? When they step behind a tree or next to a tree, they're almost impossible to spot, but they run fast. Dad also built this stone woodshed out of granite, rock and concrete. Again, pretty cool.
I left the hall light on in case you come back home. I sent a text that I was wrong. Oh, won't you come back home? Why won't you come back home? I've been sleeping with the light on dim. The dark feels heavier without you in. And every chord I strike cries your name. Won't you come back home again? Stars fell out, the moon turned gray. The wind keeps whispering your name my way. I counted the hours, I folded the time, but nothing brings you back to mine. Still see your friends from time to time. They say you are doing fine. I smile and hold my breath and count to 10. Wish I could say the same. Wish I could say the same.
Well, on the way out of Jarrahdale now and just passing through Armadal, and a couple of things to show in Armadale as well. The institution that we're passing on the left here is Armadal Senior High School. So this is where myself and my two brothers did all of our secondary high schooling. Armadale was a rough school, but it was a good school, and there were lots of good teachers who supported me to get where I needed to be. So I had a really positive experience there overall, and some tough moments, but overall a positive experience. This is Southwest Highway, so we're just skirting around Armadale City Centre, which is to the left. There's the sign saying as much. Albany Highway intersection. So you turn right here and drive for 4 hours, and you come to Albany on the south coast. West Australia's southernmost town. About a 40-minute drive to Fremantle if you turn left. Something I'd like to show you. This is Armadal Hospital, and in 1977 this is where I was born. My two brothers were born here in the 80s. So back in the day, this bit you're looking at now, that was the only part of the hospital, and I was born in that building to the left there. This building you're looking at straight now, this is the new section of the hospital, and that's the emergency ward. But also worth noting that to the left here, in these buildings to the left, my mum worked as a speech pathologist for a number of years. So this is about the border between Armadale and Kilmoch. And as we come into Kilmoch, there's one last bit of family history I wouldn't mind showing you today. The Brookton Highway out to the right here, and that goes out to some nice camping spots in the Jarrahdale Forest. And while I'm down here in Perth, I'm hoping to maybe do a video out that way. So here's the Kilmoch Plaza, which will be the last bit of family history I show you today. I'm pretty sure that that shop you're looking at now, either that one or the one next to it, was my dad's record shop that he ran in the 70s and the 80s. And Abbott's Records Centre it was called, and it was so successful that when the new guy took it over, he kept the name Abbott's Record Centre, because that's the reputation Dad and his granddad had with the local community in the Armadal Kilmoch area. So, remember going there with Dad in the 80s on Saturdays to hang out with him when he was working at the shop. Some of my earlier memories. Well, we're in Kilmoch here, and I'm pretty sure that's my mum's first house that she lived in with her parents, or one of the first houses she lived in back in the 70s when her family emigrated from England. I could be wrong, it could be the one next door. This is definitely the street they're on. So if I've got the house wrong, this is the street she lived on, about the time she met Dad. I'm here at Prize Park. Another memory. Prize Park used to be the home of the Armadale Warriors Rugby League Club. They had two fields. This was the top field, and then the playing field is a bit lower. I can't get access there today, unfortunately. It's obviously been left and reclaimed by nature, but I played all my rugby league here, including some WRL first grade, and scored a truckload of tries on the bottom field down there in the late 90s. Gee, not much of it left at all. Hard to believe it was once a rugby league stadium.
And every chord I strike cries your name. Won't you come back home again? Stop